Right boys, just came back from the gym, and in today's video I'm going to walk you through how I help my client achieve a 71.43% closing rate and how you can do it. But first, check out this pump. Anyway, let's get started, alright? So look, most people on an average have a closing rate of just 15%. Okay, but I help my client achieve a 71.43% closing rate on inbound calls and 65% closing rate on outbound calls for a 5K trading offer. And here are the screenshots to prove that, right? And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I help them achieve that in 4 simple parts, okay? But here's a fair warning. What I'm about to share might hurt a lot of sales gurus because they make it seem like closing on sales calls is all about having the right sales framework. It's not, okay? And I'm going to explain why that is in this video, okay? So look, if you run an info business and struggle to close on sales calls, watch this till the end because I'm going to share elite level source with you, okay? And do not worry, this works for every single niche, not just trading. And before we start, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to sit here and pretend or guarantee you'll get the same results just by watching this video, okay? That will be bullshit. Your results depend on your own situation, like your niche, your audience, your starting point, and then how well you implement what I'm teaching here. So there are a lot of factors at play, okay? But what I can promise you is this: I'm going to share the exact strategies and insights that got these results. And if you implement them correctly, instead of just nodding along and doing nothing, you will close more deals. All right, that's it. Let's get into it. Now, most coaches think the reason they're not closing is because they need a better sales script, or they need to handle objections better, or they need more confidence on calls. And sure, those things matter, all right? I'm not saying that they don't matter. They do matter, but they're not the foundation, all right? The foundation is something most people completely overlook. So this is part 1, your offer, right? You can have the best sales system in the world, the perfect framework, the slickest objection handling, but if your offer is not strong enough, you will not close, period, okay? Trying to sell a weak offer with a great sales script is like trying to sell a Honda Civic for $100,000, right? You can be the best salesperson in the world, you can use every tactic in the book, but nobody's buying a Civic for 100K because the offer itself doesn't make any sense, right? Now flip it, okay? Try selling a Ferrari for 50K. You barely have to say anything. People are already reaching for the wallets before you finish the sentence, right? That's the power of a strong offer. Now, when your offer is strong, the value is so obvious that it feels like a no-brainer. Closing becomes easy, okay? You're not convincing people at this point. You're just guiding them to make a decision they already want to make, which results in easy closes where people just lean in when you explain what you do. They get excited, they say, I need this, right? And when you present your price, people say, that's it, or that's actually fair, right? They actually see the value in your price, and they don't start giving you objections like, oh, the price is too high and stuff like that. Yeah, and you're actually guiding decisions at this point. You're not fighting objections, right? But when your offer is weak, you're fighting an uphill battle on every single call. You're just trying to justify that price. You're trying to convince them it's worth it. You're getting hit with objection after objection. Yeah, that's exhausting, and it actually caps your close rate no matter how good you are at sales. Yeah. Now, how do you know if your offer is strong enough? Right? 2 things. First, you're getting positive feedback on your offer. So when you explain what you do, people actually lean in, they get excited, right? They say things like, wow, that's amazing, or I actually need this, right? If you're explaining offer and people seem often uninterested, probably that's a weak offer. Now, the second way to figure this out is people tell you the price is reasonable or even cheap sometimes. Now, when you present your price and people say that's it, or that's actually really fair, your offer is strong, right? That's a really good indication. But if you're met with immediate questions about discounts, your offer might not be valuable enough, right? Now, note, this video is not about building killer offers, but if you want to know how to build offers that make people beg to work with you, watch this video, all right, in the iCard, where I go over how I made nearly 30K for single client by having the right offer system. But assuming you have a strong offer, let's move to the next part, which is actually the most important part of closing more deals, all right? Now, this is part 2, before the call. Now, most people think it's the sales framework that helps you closing calls. And sure, if you're not posting content or building any kind of brand, then yeah, framework matters a lot. But for people like you and me who are posting content, who are building an audience, who are showing up online, we have a massive leverage that most coaches completely ignore. The easiest way, guys, print this down. The easiest way to sell people on sales calls is to sell them before they even hop on the call. Okay, let me explain what I mean. This is a power of pre-selling, right? I've paid, literally, I'm not even joking, I've paid people 5 figures on calls without giving a single objection. Why? Because I was already sold before the call even started. I've watched their content, I saw their results, I understood their framework, and by the time I got on the call, I wasn't evaluating if I should work with them. I was just kind of figuring out the logistics, right? That's the difference. When someone shows up sold, your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to just not fuck that up, right? They already trust you, they've already seen your results, they understand your process, they just need the logistics. But when someone shows up cold, this is where you're actually starting from zero. Now, you have to build trust from scratch, establish credibility, overcome skepticism, and do it all in 30 to 60 minutes, right? And the beautiful part about these people is that they can literally be closed in just 15, 20 minutes in the sales call, right? Whereas in this case, you have to spend on average 1 hour. So this is why the pre-call process is actually important, and most coaches sadly completely ignore it, right? Now this is what most people do before the call. They send a few messages confirming if the person will show up. Maybe a reminder 24 hours before, maybe another one an hour before, and that's it, right? They think their job is to just get the person on the call, but that is wrong, okay? Here's what you should do instead. Your job before the call is to get them as close to saying yes as possible before they even join on Zoom. All right. Now here's what we do, and this is what mainly helped my client hit a 70% closing rate, which is absolutely insane. Firstly, is to post regular content. Okay, you need to be posting regular content that actually solves your audience's problems, positions you as someone they can trust, and builds personal connection. Now, for trading coaches, you can post live or replayed market breakdowns, why traders keep blowing accounts, how to think in risk instead of money, student transformations, journaling mistakes, you know, these types of stuff. And for fitness coaches, you can post maybe why most people don't lose fat even while training, how to structure a simple workout, common diet mistakes, real client transformation breakdowns, and stuff like that. But let's say you are a personal development coach. Now for you, you can post stuff like how to break self-sabotage patterns, daily routines for discipline and clarity, emotional regulation frameworks, confidence building exercises, real client mindset shifts or breakthroughs, right? So when someone books a call and they've already watched 5 to 10 videos like this, right? They're pre-sold, right? They already believe you know what you're talking about. And if you're not posting content, guys, you're missing out on the easiest close rate boost you will ever get, all right? Now, second step is to send case studies and objection handling videos, right? Between the time they book and the time of the actual call, send them this specific content, right? Case studies showing results you've gotten for your clients. And if you can include people just like them, that's even better. Objection handling videos that address common concerns like, you know, I don't have the time, or I'm not sure if this will work for me. And basically, when you send this type of content, this is two things. Firstly, it builds trust because, you know, when you're sending more case studies, obviously that's building more trust. They're thinking like, holy shit, this guy has brought so many great results for people just like me. Imagine that level of trust, right? And most social proof before the call even starts. Now, the second thing it does is handles objections because they've already heard you address their concerns, which provides way less resistance on calls. Yeah. Now the third thing, which is again, a lot of coaches completely ignore that, and I don't see anyone on YouTube talking about this, to be very honest. Understand the purpose of the call based on how it was booked. Okay. Now this is the key. The purpose of the call is different depending on how the appointment was booked, right? So for example, let's say you got an appointment booked through an ad. If they book directly through an ad, they're colder, right? In most cases, they don't know you as well, right? Your job on the call now is to build trust, establish credibility, and educate them on why they need what you offer. You can always do these things with the pre-call assets, but in most cases, you still need to kind of, you know, go through all of these things again, not in depth, but just giving an overview of these things on the call, right? But now, let's say they booked the call from YouTube after watching your content. In this case, they're warmer, right? They already trust you. Your job on the call now is to diagnose their situation and confirm you can help and guide them to a yes, right? There's a huge difference when someone books a call from an ad that is meant for cold traffic and someone books a call from your YouTube content. There's an insane difference between those things. And understanding this actually changes how you approach the call entirely. Most coaches I talk to use the same approach for everyone, and that's a huge mistake, okay? Now, the fourth thing, which is like an absolutely golden hack is the waiting room method. Now, to be honest, I was about to gatekeep the strategy for my private clients, but fuck it, right? I'm just sharing this here for free. Now, by the way, when I say private clients, I mean the clients in my iOS program, where we basically come in and build this entire sales system I'm walking you through right now, plus all the other systems you would need, like content, appointment setting, tracking, offer, everything like that, to scale to 20K, 50K, or even 100K months, all right? And if you want to learn more about how that works, you can just click the first link in the description. There's a video explaining every goddamn thing, right? Now, the waiting room method. You know when you're about to join a Zoom call and you're waiting in a room, right? Well, there's an option in Zoom that actually allows you to display videos in the waiting room. So as you can see, this is a screenshot of the Zoom's waiting room. This is where you can actually display your video, right? Now, here's what you do when you're joining sales calls. You join the call roughly 2-3 minutes late. Now, make sure you communicate this with the prospect, like you'll be joining the call 2-3 minutes late. Just tell them that you'll be joining 2-3 minutes late, right? And this is done on purpose, and I'm going to explain why. Now, while they're waiting in the waiting room, they will watch testimonials or case studies you've uploaded. Okay, and by the time you join, they've just spent 2-3 minutes watching your clients rave about how you've changed their lives. Right? Now, when you show up, they're even more sold. Now, this is such a simple hack, but it works like crazy. I mean, just give it a shot for yourself, right? Now, those are a couple of things you can do before the call. There are other things which you can do and even train your salespeople on it, but we explain all of that in the iOS program. And now, after you do these things, they're going to be showing up to the call already halfway sold, right? Which makes the job on the call way easier. Speaking of which, let's talk about what to actually do on the call, okay? This is part 3, on the call. Now we're on the call, and this is where most coaches either completely wing it or they use the same robotic script for every single person. And probably you're using the same script for every single person as well. Now, let me explain why both of these are massive mistakes. So here's what most people do in calls. Most people conducting sales calls fall into one of these 2 categories. This is category 1, okay? They hop on the call, ask random questions, ramble about their offer, and hope the person says yes, right? No structure, no framework. And what happens? They forget to ask important questions. They don't dig deep enough into the pain. They present the offer at the wrong time. They fumble through objections, and the call feels messy and organized. And the result? Low close rate, as you probably have guessed. So this was category 1. Now, this is category 2. They memorize a script from some course they bought and they just repeat it line by line to every single person. And what happens? It obviously sounds robotic because you're repeating the lines. Yeah? And it doesn't feel personalized. The prospect feels like just another number. And when you get here with an objection or a question that's not in your script, you freeze. Yeah? And as a result, also low close rate. Both approaches suck. Okay? So here's what you should do instead. Right? Firstly is understanding prospect awareness levels. Not everyone who books a call is at the same level of awareness. You need to understand this, right? Some people are problem aware, which basically means they know they have a problem, but they don't know how to solve it. Some people, although, are solution aware. They know the solution, but they don't know if you are the right person. But some people, let's say, are product aware. They already know they want to work with you. They just need to kind of figure out some logistics. And your questions, your language, your tone, every single thing during your sales process, all of this needs to change based on where they actually are. Yeah? If someone is problem aware, you spend more time educating them on the solution. But if someone is product aware, you skip straight to logistics and pricing. Okay? But again, most coaches, like I said, treat everyone the same. That's why they struggle. Now, the second thing is to have a general sales framework, not a rigid script. Right? Now, I personally like to have a general framework with general questions that I can basically adapt for every single prospect, right? Not a script, just to clarify, not a script that I follow word by word, but a framework that actually guides me through the call while still allowing me to be flexible and personalized. And it's important to understand the goal of each phase so you can ask personalized questions on the spot instead of just reading from a script. Right? Now let me share a 14-phase framework with you and break down the goal of each phase. So this is a 14-phase sales framework. Firstly, is to just basically congratulate them and just, greet them. The goal here is to make them feel good about the decision they just made. Yeah? They decided to change their lives by booking this call, right? You need to acknowledge that. Set a positive and a confident tone right from the start. Yeah. The second step is to control the frame and set the agenda, where the goal is to basically establish that you are in control of this call, because the person who's in control always wins the call, Okay, you are the expert, you are running the show. Set the agenda so they know what to expect and they don't feel like you're just trying to sell them. Okay, this actually removes resistance and positions you as the authority. Then, why did they book, right? This is where you need to make them admit that they have a problem. Get them to admit they have a problem that needs solving. This shifts the frame from this is a sales call to this is a call to solve my problems. Yeah. Once they admit the problem out loud, they're already halfway to buying. Because imagine if you are hopping on a call with someone who doesn't even admit that they have a problem. It's going to be extremely hard to sell them. Yeah. Now, the fourth thing is to understand where they are right now. In this step, you basically get clarity on their current situation and also ask questions that tell you if they have the money to invest, right? And you need to make sure you do this subtly, right? For fitness coaches, you can ask questions like, what are your current fitness goals? What have you tried before? How consistent have you been with your training and diet? Are you currently working with a coach or following a program? Stuff like that, right? And for trading coaches, you can ask questions like these. For personal development coaches, you can ask questions like these. These questions actually give you context and helps you tailor your pitch later on. Right? Now, the fifth thing is to dig deep into their situation and bring out the pain and cause that, right? Because look guys, no pain, no sale. That's the motto. You need to actually make them feel the pain of staying where they are and make them admit that they can't fix these things on their own, right? And this part can actually be uncomfortable for the prospect, but it's necessary, right? People don't buy to gain pleasure, right? Okay, in some cases they do, no comments on that. But in most cases, they buy to avoid pain, right? So this is what you do in step 5. In step 6, you need to understand where they want to be, get clarity on their goals, but don't go too deep here, right? Pain is more powerful than desire, like I just told you. Just keep it brief because the pain you just brought out is doing the heavy lifting for you, okay? Seventh thing is to making them admit that they can't get there on their own, right? If they don't admit they need help, they won't buy it, period, all right? So this is an example question you can ask to do this step, all right? So you've been trying to figure this out for a specific time frame, you've watched YouTube videos, maybe bought a course or two, and you're still not where you want to be. Why do you think that is, right? And it's important to ask that in a confusing tone, right? Let them say it here, right? Because I can't do this alone, I need help. Once they say that out loud, maybe not the exact words, obviously, the sale is almost on, okay? Now, eighth thing is to have their permission to explain how we can fix their problems, right? And help them reach their goals. Get the permission to pitch, all right? This shifts the dynamic from they're allowing you to help them, right? You're not pitching them here now. They are basically asking you to sell them, yeah? So example question you can ask is, all right, so based on everything you just told me, I think you can help. Do you want me to explain how we'd work together to fix this? Yeah? They just simply say yes. Right? If you have made them obviously comfortable on the call, they will say yes. And if they're actually interested in solving their problems, now you have full permission to pitch, right? This is where step 9 comes in, where you actually explain your program. Now, goal here is to break your program into 3 to 5 clear phases. Do not have like 17 different paragraphs explaining your program. No, that will overwhelm the prospect, right? Just have 3 to 5 simple clear phases on the call and explain how each phase helps them fix their problem, back it up with proof, client results, case studies, testimonials, stuff like that. Yeah. Now, once that is done, you do the temperature check to see how they actually feel about the program. The goal here is to uncover all the objections before you even present the price, right? Now, listen carefully here. Okay, whatever they say here will actually tell you what objections you need to handle later on, right? When you go to that objection handling part. Okay. Now, step 11 is to actually present the price once you've confidently done the temperature check. Okay, be confident and nonchalant here when you're presenting the price. And this is where most coaches mess up as well. They present the price, but they're not really confident about it, right? They're like a bit shy because they're in their head not sure if this is the right price to charge. So you need to make sure you're actually charging the prices you are specifically comfortable with. So you can say it simply like, cool, so the investment for this is $5,000. Does that work for you? Do you see how calm that was? That's how you actually need to say it, right? And once you've said it, just shut up, right? Do not justify the price. Do not apologize for it. Just take it and wait, right? Let them process, okay? Let them run different scenarios in their head. And remember, guys, the first person to speak here actually loses, okay? Most coaches get uncomfortable with silence here and start talking. Please do not do that, all right? Just wait. The prospect is going to speak. Okay, now at this point, they'll usually only have the price objection because of the temperature check we did earlier. Now, handle it simply with the money match strategy. So, for example, if they tell you, 5K is a lot, right? You can simply be like, I get it, 5K feels like a lot, but let's do the math. If we help you go from 3K months to 10K months, you're making an extra 7K per month, and that is 21K in just 3 months. So you are investing 5K to make 21K. Does that make sense? Right? This actually reframes the price as an investment with a clear ROI. Way easier to say yes to. Okay? Now, after the buy, you simply just do the onboarding. You actually make them feel confident and excited about their decision and get them onboarded smoothly so the buyer's remorse doesn't kick in, okay? So a simple example of this would be, awesome, welcome to the program. Here's what's going to happen next, right? Clear, confident, and smooth, okay? So that's the framework. 14 phases, but remember, this is a guide, all right, not a script. You need to adapt based on the person, their awareness level, and their situation. But if you follow this structure, your close rate will guarantee skyrocket. Now, let's talk about what happens after the call when the prospect doesn't buy, because this is where most coaches completely drop the ball, okay? So after the call, let's say the prospect didn't buy from you in the call, yeah? So you scheduled a follow-up call for, let's say, 2 days later, right? Now, what do most coaches do in those 2 days? They sit around hoping, praying, maybe they send one reminder text, and that is it. And then they're surprised when the person doesn't show up to the call, or when they say, I've decided to hold it off, right? You lost them in those 2 days because you did nothing to keep the momentum going, right? So here's what you should do instead. Firstly, send them resources in that 2-day window. Send them specific problem-specific videos which they describe to you on the call, right? And analyze the objections they gave you on the call, and send objection solving videos, then case studies of people just like them who said yes and got results, yeah? Keep them engaged, keep building trust, and keep reminding why they actually need this. But don't push it, okay? And if they still don't buy on the follow-up call, just put them in a long-term nurturing email sequence, okay? Not all prospects, all right? Let's be honest, not all prospects are ready to buy right now, okay? But that doesn't mean they will never buy. So you need to put them in a nurturing sequence that actually continues to educate them, builds trust, and showcases your results. Now, sometimes people might take weeks or months to make a decision, and that is fine, okay? But if you stop following up, you will lose them forever. That's a sure way to lose a client. Now, most coaches give up after 1 or 2 follow-ups. That's why they leave so much money on the table, all right? Now, to summarize everything, we have 4 parts in this system. Firstly, is having a strong offer where basically you make the value so obvious it feels like a no-brainer. Then second step is to pre-sell before the call, use content case studies, understand the purpose of the call and the waiting room method. Now, the third step is to use the 14-phase framework, and you basically understand the awareness levels and adapt accordingly, and make sure you personalize things. Do not just follow a robotic script. And lastly is doing strategic follow-ups, okay? Continue nurturing even after they do not buy on the sales call, okay? This is how we help the client hit a 70% closing rate, and this is how you can do the same. And these were the numbers: 71.43% inbound close rate, 65% outbound close rate, and 5K was the offer price, okay? So here are your next steps, guys. If you want to see a full breakdown of how we help this specific client, which I walked you through, from making inconsistent 5K months to over 130K in pure profit, watch this video next on the screen. It's literally one of the best videos I've ever recorded, and it's going to show you the exact systems we use to help coaches scale to 20K, 50K, even 100K months without burning out. Right? And if you want us to build this entire sales system for you, we offer the pre-call process, the framework, everything we talked about in this video. Click the first link in the description and just simply book a call, right? We'll walk you through exactly how we can help you close more deals and scale faster, okay? So that's pretty much it from my end for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like this video, and drop any questions you might have, all right? I'll try my best to answer every single question, okay? So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.